Please let me know in the chat if you can hear me. And okay, I'm typing in the chat myself. And let's see if this is working. Okay, thank you, Clean Love Pogo, and I'll be happy to hear your questions as well. I mean, like I said, this like we had a rather catastrophic start, but it's a first live, so I'm just praying that you guys should pardon me, and then we can have a wonderful conversation. But today, I want to talk about what's happening in nursing in America, because a lot of times people underestimate the opportunities that being a nurse in the US presents, and also the challenges. What we have heard over the past couple of years or months on the internet is that people bombard us with a lot of stories about the good things, the wonderful aspects of being a nurse in America and all of that. But like I think it was one rapper, Sakode, who said that every story has two sides. Okay, so today let's look at what people in America think about nursing, and especially the nurses, because a lot of times some challenging aspects of the career will definitely pop up as you are working as a nurse, and it depends on you, the individual, to find a way to cope. And like some people call it, there are some landmines that you need to sort of like be aware of before you get involved, so that you don't get caught in the trap. And oftentimes I realized that if I had someone speak to me at the beginning of my career, whether it was when I was in Ghana or back in the UK or here in America, I know it's going to be easier for me to make some decisions. And so we'll talk about those ones as well. But let's also talk about what nurses think of nursing in America. And so I'm going to share with you this survey. Um, so the survey is the state of nursing in America. And the survey was done in the year 2023 to cover what people think or what nurses think. So primarily the survey is about nurses, and was done among nurses, and was about what nurses think about the state of nursing in the year 2023. And I mean, the revelations or the findings are very revelatory and very instructive. It's quite strange. But in summary, it talks about the nurses who were surveyed. It says 60% of nurses still feel love being a nurse. I mean, they still love being a nurse. And then overall, nurses are doing better than in 2021, but they are still not okay. And they report high levels of burnout, mental health suffering, lack of support, and more. And then it also talks about 39% of nurses report feeling dissatisfied with their current job, but this is varied based on educational level and specialty. Okay, so for those of us who are on stream, this is the first three things that I want to talk about. 62% of nurses feel they're happy about their nursing careers, but I mean, there's still a whopping 38% who are trying to get like a better perspective of nursing, or they wish things were better. Okay, so essentially it's not all rosy out there, but you have more than half of nurses. I mean, 60% is a very it's if it's a political election, we are going to say it's an overwhelming majority, right? And they feel like nursing is good and they're happy about the career. Then you have other people who feel like nursing is not what they want it to be, and so they're having content about it. But let me know in the comments what you think and which country you are watching from, so that we can know how to situate the whole discussion. If you have any question as well, I'll be happy to address them as well. All you need to do is to put your questions in the comment section, and I'll try as much as I can to answer them. Okay, so let me just pull up my notes real quick and see. Okay, so please leave your comments in the chat. Like I said, let's make this interesting. Okay. Okay, so and then okay, I'm trying to pull out this information. Okay, so I have the information here, so it's easier to read it from my phone. Okay, so now it's this is the interesting thing. And if you are like a nurse who is interested in moving to the US, or you are in the US, I think that you should try and be reading this report, because it's really revelatory. Um, Overall, nurses are doing better than 2021, but they are still not okay. And they are reporting high levels of burnout, mental health suffering, and lack of support, and more. So one of the things that is synonymous with nursing in the US is the culture of people saying they are burnout. And it's not too much of a lie. I mean, it's actually true, okay? Because you see, when you move to the US and you start working, the first things that come to your mind is the opportunity to live a better life, because you are serving an environment where nursing is valued, and then you get paid and all of that. But it ramps up pretty quickly. Like the stress you go through as a nurse in the US, it catches up really quickly. Like you have back to back challenges about like the terminologies you need to get used to. Because I used to say that, if I was a nurse in Ghana and I moved directly from Ghana to the US, my settling will be more difficult. And the reason is simple, because like it's a world of difference. You have the terminologies are totally different. The equipment you use are totally different. I mean, I have a friend in Nigeria, I mean from Nigeria, who works with me, and she was telling me that she was not using a fluid pump. But here it's like a basic requirement. Every ward uses a fluid pump. So she has to get used to using a fluid pump. I know it's very common in Ghana as well. A lot of hospitals in Ghana do not use fluid pumps. But here you have to use a fluid pump. And then you have the software that they use to work. Like the software is really complicated and really complex. So you have to use all your abilities to learn and understand the software that is being used. And it takes a lot of time. Even for nurses who are in America themselves, they struggle a lot to get to terms with the software. I think some of them have Epic, some of them have Senna, and there are other ones. If you're in the UK, there are, I think, Lorenzo, there is WebV, there is EPMA, and so on and so forth. So it's really, really difficult. I mean, that's the truth that we all have to come to terms with. So the stress ramps up really quickly. You become stressed real fast. Like you have challenges with everything, the documentation, the patients, the charting system, the electronic system that you use, and all of that. It's really difficult. So it makes burnout a real challenge. And that's one of the things that you need to get used to, like really quickly, your IT skills, because sometimes you can finish working on the ward as a nurse and you hand over at 7 p.m., but you finish work around 7 o'clock, and you realize that there are several things you need to chart. If you are not very conversant with the software, and you are now going to take your time and do the slow typing, I mean, what they call crab typing, where your fingers are going one, and you need to write copious amount of notes or reports on your patients, like you realize that you always get stuck. You are going to get stuck, and report time will come, people will hand over, and you are still on the ward. So that's one thing I try to get used to, like having to work in the UK, which I feel like it's really tough as well. It prepares you to be able to get conversant with using electronic charting methods and being able to learn different types of software really quickly. So it's one of the things that I think that if you are preparing or planning to move to the US, you should get your hands on, like get conversant with using the computer. I have friends in the US and I talk to them, and some of them even, I mean, we make fun of it and trying to make jest of it to just ease the stress. Because I tell them, I'm still learning how to type, or I'm still learning how to do this, but it's the kind of education system that we had. There was no attention placed on using computers to submit assignments and stuff like that. So, it's really difficult, guys. I know, but once you keep practicing, you get better at it. and you're able to like learn some of these things pretty quickly. And because the standard is different, they're not going to say, oh, because you're coming from Africa, let's just allow you to do it this way, or because you're coming from the UK, let's just allow you to do it any way you want. No, like you have to level up, learn your systems, and flawlessly execute. It's one of the things that you have to get used to, because in the initial stages you have people being happy with you and all of that, overlooking your faults, but as time goes on there will be demand, because they're paying you, and they're paying you like somebody who is like a traveler or something. So you have to be sure that you are delivering quality, and they will require it of you whether you like it or not. So please, that's one of the first things, and that's why burnout is very common. Now, for the nurses who work here in the US already, burnout is one of the things that they themselves do or go through, because after you've been a nurse for some time, you get fed up with the job. Like how people are fed up in Ghana or the UK or Nigeria, you get fed up with the job as well. Of work that they have, opportunities they have to pursue. I read the second thing. It says that the nursing shortage worsens, with 91% of nurses believe that nursing shortage is getting worse, and that burnout, poor working conditions, and inadequate pay are the primary causes. So I was reading a document, and it was talking about the shortage of nurses in the US. And when I moved to the US, one of the first things the chief nursing officer in the hospital I worked told us was that, she graduated from nursing school in the 80s. And in the 80s, there was nursing shortage during her time. And we are in 2024, which is like a clear 40 years after. And nursing shortage is still at the height of it could be, it's never gone down, it's not at a low, it's high. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. And the truth remains that nursing shortage will always be there. So that is why in 2023, this research is saying that 91% of nurses believe that the nursing shortage is worse, and it's getting worse. So it means that whichever hospital you go to across the length and breadth of the 51 states here in the US, nurses are saying that the nursing shortage is not getting better, it's actually getting worse. So people are continuously feeling like this sense of helplessness, and staffing ratios are going down, and patient to nurse ratios are going up. So if you work in some hospitals on the East Coast like New Jersey, New York, and those areas, you realize that a lot of nurses complain about staffing ratios, because in those places the laws are not too strict. So you can have patients getting like one nurse to 7 patients, one nurse to 6 patients, one nurse to 8 patients on day shift, and then in night shift you can have like 1 to 8, 1 to 9. And I don't know what you guys think about it, but you might feel like it's easy if you are from Ghana or Nigeria, or maybe some parts of the UK, but it's not a joke, like, because the work that you are doing is strategized and systematized. Like everything is being checked. So if they are giving you 6 patients, like you are going to do a lot of work on all of them. And if you make him, if you take it for granted, it's a big deal for nurses who want to do the right thing and flawlessly execute their tasks. And in order not to put your license at risk, you need to have safe staffing ratios. I mean, staffing ratios have to be at a very good level. And that's why a lot of nurses put staffing ratios to be one of the very important things just below salary. Okay, because salary is important, but the next thing you have is to protect your license. And at the core of that is having enough patients that you can manage them and care for them safely, so that you don't jeopardize the patient's life, you don't put their life at risk, you don't practice unsafely by trying to cut corners so that you can work within time, and you also don't put your license at risk. Okay, and so that's one of the things that is very important that is going on, like staffing ratios. But with this problem comes opportunities, and one of the first opportunities is that you have to there's always going to be opportunity for internationally educated nurses like myself and like many of us watching to migrate to countries like the UK, the US, Australia, Canada, and that's the good thing. But for nurses in the US, what they want is that the government should increase salaries, and once government increases salaries, a lot of nurses who are practicing in the US but have stopped bedside nursing will come back into bedside nursing. And that's also a valid argument because there are a lot of American nurses who have quit the bedside because they feel like staffing ratios are low because nurses are not working and it's making the job very tedious for them. And the American trained nurse will definitely perform at a better level, especially at the entry level, than the nurse who's coming from another country. So it makes sense, okay, that nurses will be able to perform for a longer period of time if the government increases salaries here. But it also presents opportunities for nurses from lower level countries like Philippines, India, even China, Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, to come to the US and perform as nurses. And that is one of the things that we all need to like keep in mind, that nursing shortage is going to be perennial. It's not going to be one of the things that are going to come and go like COVID or no, nursing is going to be like hypertension. Okay, so it's going to be there because the economies are increasing. I mean, did you know that in the 1940s, during the height of the Second World War, the American government had a program to support nurses who were taking care of the American soldiers and a lot of the people who were being injured by the wars. So nursing was at an all-time high in the 40s, okay, during the Second World War. Now, after the World War, the government pulled out the funding for nursing in the US. Now, what that led to is that a lot of the nurses began to stop nursing. And once people stopped nursing, the government went to the Philippines, which is a colony of the US, to train nurses and bring them to the US, which is why you have a lot of Filipino nurses. And it is cheaper for the government to do that than increase salaries of nurses. So this whole shortage thing is not starting today. And so if you come to the US today, there are a lot of Filipinos, African Americans, African nurses, Indian nurses here. And it's because the government also finds it sometimes cheaper to bring them and have them work and then earn the wages they are paying them instead of bringing new nurses who continue to work here. So that's it. I mean, retrogression is there, but the shortage is not going away. And if government is not willing to increase salaries, definitely there will be opportunities for nurses to come and work. So that's the flip side. But today is not for that discussion. But today, let's talk about the trends. And so the questions, it says, why did you move to the US and any challenges you are facing so far? And then, okay, so why did I move to the US? I mean, I think that for an individual, especially when you are married and you have to make family decisions, it's not just about you any longer. So I had to make a family decision because my wife also has to go to school, and the particular course she was looking at, one of the best schools that she was finding to do her PhD was a university here in the US. And it was among other things that I also wanted to move because I mean, I love the UK, which is a very fantastic place to work. I was obviously enjoying my work there. It's just six or 7 hours back to Ghana. So it's a wonderful place to work and all of that. But I decided to move here because of a family decision we had to make. And I also spoke about other reasons in the video. Just to be honest, I mean, most of us want a better life. And the American dream is so much popularized and so well sold that everybody wants to have a taste of it. Okay. So that's one of the things. And the challenges, I think so far I've had a good landing. I just realized that you never get to a point where you feel like now I'm there and I don't care about anything again. Like you always have to improve yourself. So the initial challenges was just about settling in and getting used to what's happening. And the fact that, I was working in a stroke unit in the UK, but when I came to the US, I had to move to a different floor. And because I didn't get into stroke unit, the interest had to start. Like I had to start and build the interest up all over again because I've always wanted to work in a stroke unit. And I was really enjoying working in a stroke unit because I was getting used to what was happening. I went for a stroke master class. I even wanted to go and do interventional radiology so that I could help thrombolize patients who were having strokes. So like I had a career plan, okay? So much so that when I was coming to the US and my agency told me that the stroke patients are cared for here in the US and they are cared for in the ICU here in the US. And so I needed to have an ICU experience to have a chance. I went to look for a job in the UK and I moved to an ICU there. But the agency was still particular about the demands of working in an ICU. So I didn't end up in an ICU. So when I came here, one of the things, settling in and getting to realize that, okay, I'm in a new unit and this is how it's going to be for the foreseeable future, was one of the very difficult things I had to deal with. Yeah, but thanks be to the team that I found myself. They are quite supportive, and maybe they've been too kind to me, but I realized that they give me a lot of chance to get into the flow. I am a quick learner and I like to read a lot. But I realized that if your interest is not in what you're doing, it takes time to get used to what you're to learn what you are on. So I just decided to focus on the opportunity I have now, okay, and do the best I can for the team, and yeah, and it's been good overall. Yeah. So Clean Love, Bobo, I hope I've answered your question. Kwame Love, what a name. Okay, I'm also Kwame, but I'm not Love, Pastor Love. So he says nursing as a career is good as compared to other professions. Okay. I think that's not a question. That's a statement, which I agree to that. Okay, please put in more questions so that we can continue to answer the questions as we go on. Now we have Francis Oliver. It says I'm in the UK and I just want to know that currently, if you have priority date in November 2023, when in your view will I get the visa, and how long did yours take? Sorry for asking. Yeah, so I think that one of the biggest challenges with net migration from the UK now is the whole issue of retrogression, and it's interesting how things happen. When I did my interview, when I was due for my interview date and all of that, I was being a bit sluggish because I was enjoying working in the UK so much, so I wasn't keen on the move. So, and I was saving money as well. So I was like, this wheel is not broken. Why do I want to reinvent it? Or what I'm using is not broken. Why do I want to fix it? But I realized I had to do it. So I was a bit sluggish. Then there was one document the embassy needed me to submit so that I could get an interview date and come for my visa. No, I had actually gone for the visa interview, but they were requesting a document for me to bring, and then they will issue the visa and then send it over to me. And I was delaying the process. I wasn't too serious about it. I had to send for the document to be sent over from Ghana and all of that. And I was like, you know what? I need to get serious and do this. But I was still not very serious. Then I got a call from the embassy. Then the embassy in London told me that if I don't bring my documents and the window is over for them to give me the visa, they will cancel it, and then I will not have a date because retrogression is setting in, and they don't know when it's going to end or when I'm going to get the visa because retrogression is coming. Then I was like, okay, let me get serious and do this. So I did that, and then the visa was issued. And then once the visa was issued, I was like, okay, the visa is issued now. But apart from that, I'm now realizing that, okay, if I had not gone ahead and get the requirements that we're talking about to get a visa, it means that I'll probably be in a retrogression now. And why am I telling all this story? I'm just trying to be honest and tell you that, I have no idea how this is going to end. I know it has to end somehow because people need to migrate to the US, and the US also has concerns and requirements and needs and all of that. But as to how it's going to happen, I mean, I'm very limited in my knowledge of the visa immigration process, and it's my level of incompetence. It's a realm of incompetence for me, and I don't want to even get into that because I can't speculate. I mean, it's just going to be speculations. I don't know when it's going to happen, when it's going to end, when it's going to start. But all I think is that it's essential that you live your life like how things are going. Like live your life normally. Okay, live your life normally and enjoy what you are doing while you plan to migrate. That's the only way you can buy some time and get yourself some good emotional headspace, because it's going to be really frustrating and disappointing if you are living your life in UK or in Ghana or in Nigeria like you are somebody who's already moving. Meanwhile, you don't even have a visa date, and every month you are looking forward to it. Look forward to migrating, but focus on enjoying what you are doing so that you don't become so disappointed. And this is not a ministerial message or a biblical message, but we all know that the Bible says that when hope is deferred, it makes the heart sick. And you always be deferring your heart, your hope of getting a visa date and all of that. Especially if you're in the UK, you know it's going to happen. I mean, definitely, if you're in the UK, you know it's one of the things that's going to happen. But if there's a hold on it, there's nothing you can do that's going to change it. So why will you rock the boat and stress yourself and deny yourself sleep and all of that? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And in as much as it is stressful, just find a way to get yourself relieved of the stress and continue to work where you are, so that if the opportunity comes and the window opens, you're going to come. And one thing I've told people is that, for those of us who got a chance to move to the US, it's not because we are special or we had anything going for us. The thing is that the opportunity to do it came, the window was open, and we entered when the window was open. It's as simple as that. If the window is closed, you cannot force it open. You need to wait for it to be open again to get in. And that's all I can say, really. Yeah. So that's it. So I hope I've answered the question. My brother Francis, I hope I've answered your question. Now, Mercy Ojo, I think Mercy is from Nigeria, and Mercy is saying, I'm currently in the UK and I want to write my NCLEX, but I'm not ready to move to the US immediately. My question is, does the NCLEX results expire? No. So one of the benefits of writing the NCLEX is that you need to take the NCLEX just once in your lifetime. The NCLEX never expires. Like, you can take the NCLEX. The NCLEX doesn't expire. It's one of the good things about it. It's not like an IELTS exams which you have to take after 2 years. No, you take the NCLEX once and that's it. There is no need to retake the NCLEX for it to say, oh, I've taken it, it has expired, and so let me take it again. No. Once you take it, you are good to go. Nothing changes. Nothing. I don't know how to put it. Nothing. It's never going to change. So you can take the NCLEX now, put it down. That's it, and under your basket wherever you are. You can even quit job from working in the UK. Okay, Mercy, like you said, you can even quit and go back to Nigeria and go and work there for so many years and want to come back to the US, and you can always come back. It doesn't change anything. So if you are not ready, just take your time, prepare, and whenever you are ready, you'll be able to use your NCLEX result to migrate. The only thing is that the English language requirements keep changing. So if maybe you have an IELTS result, maybe I don't know whether it's going to change, but now that they are requesting 6.5 in a lot of the fields, the other components, maybe they're going to increase it to 7 or something, or maybe they're going to further reduce it. I mean, the UK has tried to make theirs a little bit lax and all of that. So you can take the IELTS exams once, the English exams once, and it's never going to expire. You can use it as many times as possible, and that's one of the good things. So it's not a rush, really. Just take your time and prepare for the exams. Mercy. Kwame Love. Oh, Pastor Love says, Kwame Love, sorry, I said Pastor Love. Kwame Love said, we also use computers for chatting in Ghana. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's a good thing. When I was working in Ghana, we were not using computers. When I moved to the UK, we were using computers. So, Kwame, which software were you guys using? I don't know the software you guys were using in Ghana, but most of the hospitals I knew in Ghana were not using computers to do their chatting. But you said you guys use computers to chat in Ghana, which is a great thing. I mean, I wish we also had that, but we didn't have that. We're using chatting. Even though my hospital was one of the best hospitals, well, it was not one of the best. It's a tiny hospital, but it's good. I mean, it paid really, really well. So I enjoyed it. And then Godwin Kwabna Donko It says what's nurse to patient ratio in your unit currently? Oh, I have my nurse to patient ratio currently is 1:5, but I mean it's 1:4 or 5 depending on the staffing availability. So it's good. We can normally have 1:4, 1:5, and that's it. But like I said, when if you've done nursing, and I know most of you know that in nursing, it's not about the numbers. The numbers play a role, but sometimes it's also about the acuity level of patients. Because one time I had 4 patients, which I thought was good, but 3 of them were COVID positive. Also, two were COVID positive, and one of them had a droplet precaution, was being isolated for a droplet condition. And the thing was that even though it was good because it's just 4 patients, I was very busy because anytime I have to go into one room, I have to wear my gown, wear mask, glove, face shield, and do whatever I have to do, come out, take all of that out, and then wear another thing again. So it's like, it's not a joke. Even though there were 4, it was serious. Like, it was a lot of gowning on and off and all of that. I even had headache because it's really stressful. You have to wear your stuff, and you know when you wear the N95 for some time, you know how it feels. So my unit is good. Generally, it's like 1:4, 1:5, but even that is, it's really not a joke, guys. Like, you will have headache. Okay. Some hospitals is 1:5. Some hospitals is like 1:6, but yeah, so it's good. Then you have Francis Ameze. He says that if you love UK so much, why did you relocate to the US? You guys keep lying about your experience in the UK. I don't know how you mean we keep lying. I don't know, but the thing is that don't think that your experience in the UK is universal to everybody. Okay, Francis, I don't know what you mean to say, but your experience in the UK is not going to be universal to everybody. I mean, the fact that you were happy in the UK in your unit does not mean everybody was happy, and the fact that you were sad does not mean everybody is sad. And I don't know what you mean when people. I know people have given reasons why they left the UK and they are not happy and all of that. I didn't experience any of that at all. Like, my squad in the stroking were nice. It's not like everybody was nice. There are people who are not nice on the unit. And even in the US, you are going to find people who are not nice to you. Like, if that's what you are thinking, then just disabuse your mind of that. You are going to find people who are mean in the US as well. Like, if you were from Ghana, there are people on your wards in Ghana who are not nice, who are also mean people to work with. Like, even though they are country people, they are just mean people. They are just not happy people. So it's a universal human quality, and that's one thing you need to get to understand. Like, we need to disabuse our mind of the fact that one country is going to have all nice nurses. I mean, that is funny. It's never going to happen that way. Every country has people who are not nice. So I was at a place in the UK where I had nice people who were working with me. It's as simple as that. Some people were sometimes not nice, and sometimes when people are nice, it doesn't mean that if you are doing the wrong thing and they tell you off on it, or they tell you do the right thing, it means people are not nice. No, sometimes people have to tell you that, hey, you are doing the wrong thing, get your act together, so that you protect your patients and you protect your license. It doesn't mean that the person is not being nice to you. They're just putting you in check. And I've had people tell me that back in the UK several times, but it doesn't mean they are not nice. And any nurse who tells you that they are consistently having people tell them nice things or talk to them nicely and they never chastise them, the person is probably lying, or is at best not being honest with the fact, because you always have to learn something. Even my superiors, my clinical assistant, or my deputy manager, or my managers had a matron tell them, hey, you do this right. And it's normal with nursing. You have in any profession. So if you are saying people are not happy, I don't really understand it, but I was happy. There were a few things that I didn't like, but it's not something that I can use to make a decision about the overall experience of working as a nurse in the UK. That would be like really insincere of me or dishonest of me to say that I had a terrible time. Far from that. Okay, so Francis, sorry, but that's my experience. And Nanekia says, sincerely speaking, do you think it's worth it moving to the USA from the UK? I'm currently in the UK preparing for my NCLEX as well. but I'm a bit scared about starting overseas again in the USA. And when, I mean, this is another question. So Nanika is asking if sincerely it is worth it. And like I'm saying, it's about your goals and your decision. If Nanika had given me more, how do I call it? If you had given me more understanding of what you mean sincerely, if it's worth it, I'll probably be able to understand your question and give a better answer. If you are saying it is worth it, what do you mean? Is it like quality of life or career progression, or what exactly do you mean? If it's only salary, or if salary is a singular metric you are talking about, then I can tell you that, for example, in terms of salary, it is difficult to beat the US in nominal terms, because they'll tell you, I mean, the US, you can make this amount of money as a nurse, you can make that amount of money as a nurse, but what about the bills you pay? So, for example, if you go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they'll tell you that in Georgia, a nurse earns about a nurse earns about $1,600 or $1,700 every pay period, which is every 2 weeks. So it means in the month they'll probably earn like $4,000 or $3,800, but every month their rent is $1,600 or $1,800. So really the amount you are earning, half is going into rent, and then the other half is what you are going to get, and that is after it has been taxed. So it's not like always a singular metric. You can't use money to be the only reason. I have a friend who earns £4,000 as a nurse in the UK in a care home. Some nurses in some states in the US don't earn that. So if it's money, the person earning £4,000 in the UK is probably earning more money than nurses here. So how about that? If it's money, the person will say that, okay, the money is better. But there are other opportunities of working in the US. Like if I need to go back to school and improve myself, it's not as stringent as what it is in the UK. Like it's really difficult working in the UK and improving yourself. That's one of the things I realized. Like you need to go through this process where they have to recommend you and all of that. That's one of the difficulties. Otherwise, there are several sides to this. Naneka, I hope I've answered you. Clean Lab Google said, what's the gun culture like in the US? And there are arguments about the general security in the States. How safe is the US? And generally, where I live, it's safe. I don't have any problems at all. I've not had any issues about guns. I think there is sometimes spoken about in the media a lot, but I've not had any issue like that, fortunately. Yeah, that's all I basically know about that issue. So I understand your concern, especially if you are someone from Ghana. Heather, now, how's the process like for UK school trained nurses or Australia, New Zealand registered nurses to work in the USA? Also, what any helpful tips on this? So, I think that if you are trained in the UK and you want to move to the US, there are some conversion courses you need to do, because I understand the courses that you do for a BSc or a basic RN degree, like a diploma program, the equivalent of what we have in Ghana, like a diploma program in the US. They are not the same as what people get in the UK. So if you are UK nurse and you want to work in the US, there's a conversion course that you need to do. So it will be easier for someone who uses their Ghanaian diploma certificate to apply for licensure or approval and evaluations here in the US than someone who trained in the UK. And I know that the Australian system is also similar to the UK. So Australia, New Zealand, and yeah, some of those countries, because they have a very similar system with the UK, they are more friendly to nurses coming from the UK to work in those countries. For nurses coming from the US, from Australia to the US, honestly, I have no idea about that. I probably have to do some more research on that. I don't know how the system is, especially once as it has to do with education. I don't know much about that. I could do a video on that maybe, but I would say, so sorry about that. But Australia, like I said in one of my videos, is one of the favorite places for nurses to work now. Last time I was working on a different unit. I was floated to a different unit, and an American nurse asked me, "Oh, what is it like working in Australia? Because I'm considering moving to Australia to work." And I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, this is as where a lot of people are talking about moving to America to work, and then and the American nurse is telling me he wants to go to Australia to work." So I'm like, okay. I mean, we all have interest. So the migration thing is not about just being African. Like, people from other countries, even the Americans also want it. Canadians, Australians also want it. And because of retrogression, the recruitment agencies are focusing on those countries. So if you look at AMN for one, now AMN is the company that controls OGP, Connectix, and all those things. And AMN is now advertising more for Canadian and Australian nurses to migrate and work in the US, because the retrogression is also affecting their business as well. I mean, they also want people to be coming so that you can work and pay them. And that's how their business runs. So they are recruiting people from other countries. Like, seriously, they're advertising for nurses from Australia, for nurses from Canada to move over and work here in the US. So it's one of the things. So I mean, it has to be sorted out somehow, this whole retrogression thing, because the businesses in the US are also facing the challenges and all of that. So now I hope I have helped you. Okay, Fire says, how long did the immigration process take after passing the NCLEX, and which embassy in the UK did you use? Which embassy in the UK is faster? I have no idea how many embassies are there actually. I just used the London one, and I think the overall was about a year, because I waited and my IELTS expired, so I had to retake the IELTS test. I had to prepare and take the IELTS test again. And that was what made my process a bit delayed. Otherwise, everything was okay. Like, it was quick. And I think it's also about expectation. If you are not expectant to just jump out, the process will go fairly quickly for you. But if you're expectant to jump out and then there is retrogression, that's where you are going to be like really disappointed and heartbroken. And that's what I keep saying, that continue to live your life normally while you work towards it, just so that the disappointment is going down. And I'm not trying to give an advice to anyone, because I can't tell you what to do. But I'm just saying that if I were in that position, I'll live my life normally, and I'll try to work on what I need to do next, without necessarily burdening myself with what's happening with retrogression, when dates are coming out and all. I can't. You can't do much about it. Like, you can't do much about it. Like, if you're a lady and you're in Ghana and retrogression is happening and it's affecting you, go and learn how to braid hair, because if you come to the US or wherever, you are going to make a lot of money from braiding your hair. My wife had to pay about $150 or $200 to braid her hair. And imagine if you can do that, braiding your hair as a nurse is something you can learn in 3 months. Okay. Like, when I was in Ghana, I used to be a tailor. I had this fashion line, Manmo Couture, and I used to sew. I was making scraps for my hospital where I was. I didn't mention their name, but I made a lot of scraps for them. I had a lot of tailors who will do the embroidery for me, and then I'll join the scraps and all of that. And if you are a nurse with retrogression on your neck, it's one of the things you can do. You can learn to braid, or you can learn to be a baker, or you can learn how to make shito and sell it. Like, if I need shito now, I have to make it myself, or let my wife do it. And if you are a nurse here in the US and you do shito, you can have it listed on Amazon, and a lot of people will buy it. Trust me, a lot of people buy shito here in the US. It's one of the things that you don't get easily. I have a friend who is a nurse here, and he imports shea butter from Ghana. So when he brings the shea butter, he lists it on Amazon and he sells it. And it's expensive, because the demand for shea butter is increasing, because a lot of people are realizing the health benefits of shea butter. And another thing is that the community of Africans in the US is growing. Not in just the US, but in Canada, nearby Canada and other countries, the community of Black people is growing. So the demand for shea butter is increasing. And it's one thing you can learn and do. It's not so difficult. Like, it's something you can use to do, so that the time that you don't get disappointed in the time. Like, I don't know how to explain this, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay. Like, my Nigerian friends, a lot of them braid hair in the UK. a lot of them make clothes. I mean, and one of the things I can even do here, I can start sewing and selling scraps because I make really good clothes per my own standards and per what the people tell me, my customers tell me. So I can start that if I want to. If you're a tailor, you can do that. I have friends from Hong Kong who are in the US here, and they also work in the hospital, and they are going back to sewing classes to learn how to sew. I mean, the last time I saw an article of a lady who was doing throw pillows. She does throw pillows that we use in the couches and chairs for furniture, and she made $1 million with a team of 3 people. So imagine you are a nurse who has that skill to sew, and you want to get into the fashion, or you want to get into throw pillows. You can sew because you work for 3 days as a nurse, and then you have 4 days off. You can use your 4 days off to sew. You can use 3 out of those 4 days off to sew and sell it online. Sign up with UPS or any of these delivery guys, and they'll deliver your throw pillows while you are making business. And it's a skill you need to have. The other thing is that most nurses want to just pick up extra shifts, so they don't want to learn any other skill. So they don't want to learn how to run a YouTube channel or how to have a food business or how to be a writer or how to be a musician. And it's one of the things that if you have the chance to learn, you can really hone in on that and learn those skills because it is going to benefit you. The retrogression period can be a problem, like a curse, but if you flip the coin, it can be an absolute blessing because you cannot go wrong with time that's well invested in learning a skill. It will catch up with you. Like I go to Pentecost here, and that's the only Ghanaian church here. And then because I play the keyboard, like I have become such a useful asset to the church. If I wanted to go and play the keyboard in another church, I can always go there and make money from playing shabo, or I can form a new community and improve myself, or people are able to approach me easily, and it opens me up to opportunities because people like you get people who say, "Oh, I like the way you play. What do you do?" and all of that. And it's something you can learn. You can learn to play a new instrument during the retrogression, and it's going to save you when you come. I see a lot of gigs who are paying like $300 a Sunday for a bass guitarist in New Jersey or in Maryland, where the blacks are. Okay, and it is not something that you take for granted. Go and play in a church for 3 hours and they pay you $250 or $300. Meanwhile, you work for 12 hours as a nurse and you get like $400 or something, or $300 if you are in the States. That pays like $35 or $37 an hour. So going to play in a church for them to pay $300 per service it's not bad money at all. But you can learn things like playing the instrument. So it's one of the avenues you can consider. You can learn how to be a good photographer. Like photography and videography, that's where the world is going now. So if you're a nurse and you are waiting on retrogression, you can go and learn how to do photography, and it's going to serve you well. I think I have really digressed. So please, let me just continue. I'm sorry. Okay. The Nanekia says, I mean, I'm scared of starting over again in the USA, and I always ask myself, will it be worth it? You know, I have a video that I did that is being edited currently, and I'll post it on the channel very soon. But it's about the life of the immigrant nurse and what they don't tell you about being an immigrant nurse. I understand when Nanekia is saying that she's worried about starting over, but it's the price you pay. Like I had a nurse in the UK. She was working in Kaduna, and she said she had worked for 23 years, and she was a deputy chief nursing officer in her hospital. Then, you know, in the UK, I was part of the nurses who trained the new nurses for the hospital. I was part of the educational team. And when she came, she was telling me that now she has to start from band 5, but she was a deputy nursing officer, like deputy chief nurse officer. And in her state, like I think the hospital group or something of that sort. But she was at the pinnacle of her career, but she had to start. Like that's the price you have to pay. I had a band 7 nurse in the UK. When she came here, she had to start from the beginning. When I was in the UK, when I went to the UK, I had to start from band 5. I got a band 6 role, but I didn't take it because I knew I was going to move to the US soon, so I didn't take it. But when I came over here, I had to start again. So like, I'm just at the level of a new grad, although I have like a decade and over worth of experience, probably just the same experience as somebody who is like at a managerial role or something. But I had to start from the beginning. And so if you want to move to the US or the UK or Canada, it's one of the prices you have to pay. You have to start from the beginning. And I can't say this enough. It is frustrating for us as internationally educated nurses. I know some trusts in the UK will allow you to start from band 6, especially the midwives, because my trust in the UK was doing that. When nurses came from Ghana and Nigeria as midwives, after their OSCE, I think after 3 months or so, they become band 6 nurses, which was very like encouraging. Otherwise, you have to start from the beginning. You have to start all over again. And think about it this way: assuming you come from your country and then you just move to band 7, or no, you just move to, I think they do nurse 1, nurse 2, nurse 3 here, which with nurse 1 being the very bottom. Assuming you come here and then they put you at nurse 2. Do you know that there are a lot of things you need to learn as somebody who is at who is nurse 1, and the new grads here are those who are actually going to teach you, because they have used the system during their education for the past 2 or 3 years, so they know a lot of things. And you will look really frustrated and stupid. Sorry, like really, pardon my words. Okay, that you claim to be an S2 or at that level, but you don't know basic things about the system. And it's not because you are not intelligent; it's because the system is different. Because for nurses who have worked over a period of time in their country and moving to another country, you are not going to just learn new things. You need to unlearn what you know, especially how things work, and then relearn how things work. Like, the concept of nursing will be the same, but the modality will be different, which is one of the challenges that you experience as a nurse in a new country. So, Nanika, definitely, you have to start all over again. And as to whether it's worth it or not, it depends on you. Like I say, or your goal to determine what you do. But if you are really entrepreneurial and you want to push it, you are going to enjoy being in the UK. Being a nurse here in the US, because it's a rewarding career. Even though salaries for nurses, generally the impression is that it's not growing, it's still better if you compare it to working as a nurse in the UK or Canada. Okay. What's the nurse to patient ratio on the surgical unit, medical ICU, and all? I think I've answered that. ICU is 1 to 2. Real nurse says, after coming to the US, how long does one have to practice at the bedside before you're allowed to go to school for specialty? Oh, I think as for that, it depends on you. You can go as quickly as you want, but in the US, most times you need like funding for courses for education. And one thing I realized is that it's really expensive to be a nurse, to go to school in the US here. Like, you need funding, and that's the problem. So if you don't have funding and you are going to use your own money, fair enough. In that case, you can just work for a couple of months and go. I mean, when I came, I applied for, I didn't apply, but I was looking to courses available. And then I had a chat with one of the educational institutions here. And the recruiter was telling me, not the recruiter, the admissions officer was telling me that I could always apply if I want to this January, which is like 3 months ago. But I came in August. So it was like 4 months, and they knew my working experience, and it was it was just about 5 months then. And that if I applied, I could get into a nursing program, like a master's degree in nursing program, which could make me go and teach in a nursing school, or I could become a nurse practitioner if I wanted to. So the opportunity was there and is actually available. You just need to build relationships with people who can give you, what do you call it, a recommendation when the time comes, because a time is going to come where you will need recommendations. Like, you will need people to recommend you for master's degrees or for PhD, like a DMP program, or if you're going to do something like a CRNA, which is like the top of the highest paying for nurses here in the US, you need somebody to give you a good recommendation letter. And for that one, you need to work in an ICU for like 2 to 3 years in a high acuity ICU. And then after you get a recommendation, you'll be able to apply and get into the program. But for courses like normal doctor of nursing practice, masters, it doesn't matter, because there are people who are not even nurses and they are going in anyway. So if you apply for the program, your experience really is not it's not considered if it's not a specialty program. But if it's a specialty program, like I said, then you need to have consideration for the school's requirements. And some schools, like CRNA schools, will require that you have a lot of ICU experience, or if DMP, they require that you have like 2 to 3 years experience in, let's say, psych, if you want to go and do psych, or let's say, if you want to go and do board like family certified nurse practitioner. So the requirement varies on the school, but some schools will respect your international experience. Let's say if you work as a med-surg nurse for like 10 years in Ghana or in Nigeria or in the UK, they respect it. So they count it as periods that you work, and it makes it easier for you to get into those programs. Otherwise, like you don't have to struggle like a new grad who has zero experience. And that's it. Naneka again, in terms of quality of life, career progression, accommodation, raising family, comparison to the UK. Yeah, I think we've answered that. Quality of life is good in the US as well. But we all know that childcare is expensive both in the UK and the US. It's not like just one person. It's expensive in both countries. So, but one I realized is that the UK has very good social lives. Sorry, let me just pick water. I'm sorry. Thank you, guys. So one I realized is that, the UK has this good structure about social integration. The UK is more socially oriented. Like they give you a system that takes care of your social life, your family. Like in the UK, in the NHS, I think you have like 7 weeks annual leave. And think about it, like it means that every other week, if you are working in the UK, or let's say every month, okay, you can have like 1 week annual leave. So it's a good thing. Think of it that way. Like if you are taking your annual leave in increments, you can have 1 week annual leave every month or every other month in the UK. But you don't get so much in the US. And it's one of the difficulties. Like, I don't know. Like, it's nice when you have that privilege. The UK place a lot of emphasis on family units, the cohesion of the family, your social life. They even restrict the amount of hours you can work within a certain period because they don't want you to become too stressed out and all of that. So that's one of the things. Like the UK has that advantage. Like that's one thing I came to realize. The US does not beat the UK in everything. No, it's never possible. Like the quality of food I used to get in the UK from places like Waitrose or what do you call that one? Not Asda. There's another one. Okay, there are very nice food substances in the UK, and I think there's a lot of focus on good food or organic food, healthy food, fresh food in the UK. But what I realized that America is more about taste, how nice it tastes. I mean, there's also nice food here as well, but it's more common and easy to get in the UK at affordable rates. And the producers are quite transparent as well, which is one of the good things I find. So yeah, there's a lot of sports here. There's a lot of sports in the UK as well. It's just that small thing about like the financial benefits that, let's say, the UK trumps that the US trumps the UK. But apart from that, it's really difficult to get a lot of differences, okay, because it's not really bad. And even in the US, for the money issues, it depends on the state you are. If you're a state that is paying you $35 an hour and you are earning that amount of money, you will not be really different from a nurse who is in the UK working in a nursing home, not NHS, nursing home or care home. And even if you're an agency nurse, that one you are a boss. Okay, if you're an agency nurse in the UK, you are like at that level. Don't even think of because as for agency nurses, especially those who are smart enough to have their own companies, like you are able to really cut down a lot of costs. So like your car payments, rent, and all of that. You can save a lot of money within the short possible time. I had a Ghanaian woman in the UK who was there for about some 20 or 18 years. And she told me that she had like, I don't know, but she had a lot of houses, like, because she was an agency nurse and she was able to make a lot of money and buy houses quickly. And houses were not too expensive. So she had multiple houses and she was working about 2 shifts a week because she had made so much money from agency nursing. So if you're looking at it that way, the UK is a no-brainer. It's a really good place, has good social cohesion. The education system is top-notch. The level of morality is top-notch. Like, it's good. So, like I always say, it's your choices and your decisions. Okay. It says, how easy is the progression from bedside to a different field? And with that, it's not too difficult to transition from bedside to a different field. Like today, because of the area I live in, or my social media presence, I get a lot of offers on LinkedIn. Like, you want to do IT, health informatics. Like a lot of IT companies are here, so they give you the option to work. Like, if I had IT skills, and it's one thing you can learn if you are experiencing retrogression, whether in Ghana or in the UK. Like, you can get a lot of hospitals or companies which are looking for IT personnel, like the software that they use. The software is developed by companies that has nurses who have done informatics. So if you do nurse informatics, I mean, if you do nurse informatics or IT, you can get a lot of those jobs as part time, and then you transition fully. Like, you don't even think about being stuck at the bedside at all if you don't like bedside nursing here in the US. I think my previous video is about that. There are several non-bedside nursing jobs, and you can transition easily. Like, the other thing is that if I am working with AMN or OGP, because I have a 2-year contract, I'm stuck in the sense. I'm sort of stuck because I can't move. I need to finish it. So it's better I need to stick with them and finish it, or I have to pay them in excess of about $40,000 or $50,000 for lost earnings. Okay, so I need to enjoy my job and focus on finishing my contract so that I can move. Otherwise, that challenge is going to be there. But for people who don't have that binding contract where you need to work with them for 2 years, if you want to switch to, let's say, ICU or move to a different hospital or something without the financial burden of having to be taxed to make a payout, then, my friend, like, it's quite interesting. It's easy for you to move. You can always move whenever you want to. And I was speaking to a manager who was telling me that the average length of stay for a nurse in the US hospital is 2 years. So once they graduate, they move to a hospital, they get a sign-on bonus like $10,000. They work for 18 months, 20 months, and they're out. Like, they're out. They don't even stay for that long because they are moving to the next job, or they're going to be a traveler, or they are going back to school or something, and they keep moving about. So it's not really difficult at all to move. Mercy Ojo, you skip my question. Oh, no. I actually answered your question. I spent a lot of time. I think you were not here, but I definitely answered your question. So please check that. Yeah, I think that is it. Please, can you explain how the tuition reimbursement is done for nurses? Kwame Love, please, can you explain further? I don't understand what you mean by tuition reimbursement. Like, do you mean tuition reimbursement for nurses who are here? Because I know that, for example, my hospital has a plan that if you work as a CNA, which is like a carer in the UK, if you work as a CNA in the hospital here for about 3 or 4 months, you qualify for funding to go and do a nursing program, which is an RN nursing program, not a degree program, not a BSN, but the RN diploma. Okay. And then if you are a registered nurse, you can, if you have the RN degree, which is the diploma, you can get a chance to work. And then once you finish working for, I think, about 6 months or so, you get a chance, you get sponsored. Yeah, you get sponsored to go and do a bachelor's degree. But after a bachelor's degree, you need to stay with the hospital for 5 years. So what do you want? Do you want to be stuck with the hospital for 5 years? If you are not happy with the hospital, you have no business going to take the funding. But if you are happy and you want to stay there, then you are going to get the funding, and then they'll pay you to go and do your course. If you go back to school and you want to work in the hospital and they want to reimburse you, that to reimburse your tuition, that means that they can pay you back whatever money you paid, but you'll be bonded with them for, like, say, 3, 4, or 5 years. I have a friend who was even thinking of going back to medical school, and he was telling me that his hospital was asking that he allows them to fund his medical education. And I was like, oh, that's good. But he said that there's a catch. They want you to work with them, which is similar to a lot of the contracts that you get. So it's not like new or anything. You definitely have people who want to, who can help you sort of get those tuition reimbursements, but it comes with a catch. You have to work with the hospital, and that's it. So you need to enjoy the hospital. You like you need to enjoy the hospital. Otherwise, but that's one thing. Again, if you say you want to become a nurse practitioner here in the US, DMP, and you are going to need like 3 years of experience, and then you have to go through a school for 4 years. That's 7 years. Then the question is, why would you not go for that opportunity as well? Because the hospital will fund your education, and then after that, you'd work with them. But if, say, you work with them for 3 years and then you go to school for 4 years, that's 7 years, and then you come and work with them for 5 years based on the terms of the contract, that makes it what, like 12 years. And that becomes a long period of time. And if you are not interested in working with one hospital for 12 years, then you probably have to forget about the funding, find your own money, take a loan from the bank, and pay for the course, so that when you finish, you can get your own job in the hospital that you want to work in, and the hospital can choose to pay you whatever money you spent. They can pay off your student loan debt, and then you are going to be stuck with a new hospital for let's say 5 years. But that's still better than working in one hospital for 12 years. Yeah, so that's what I think. I think that, like, you need to think of what your interests are. Okay. And then which agency is best with direct hire in the US? I know that there are a lot of agencies that do direct hire in the US. Like, there are a lot of them that I mentioned in my previous video. And because I did not use a direct hire agency, I have that challenge of mentioning which one is good. Honestly, if I had to go back, I'll choose a direct hire agency over a recruitment staffing agency, which makes it work for them, because it's not the same at all. Like, it's a no-brainer. It's like a direct hire agency is way better. Like, you need to focus on how your life is going to be, because, for example, because I am with a staffing agency, I don't have a fixed schedule. So I need to work every time that the manager wants me to work. So my shift is not fixed. It's always here and there. Although I have 3 days in a week, but because I'm with a recruitment agency, I'm seen as a traveler, and so I'm being used to sort of meet the demand or the staffing shortages on the ward. But if you're with an agency, a direct hire agency, and then you become a direct employee of the hospital, the good side of that is that you will have the chance to get a fixed staffing ratio that the state nurses union is bargaining for nurses across the country. So you know that you only work Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. And so you can plan your trips, you can plan your school sessions, you can even plan a second job, because you know that you only work on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and then Saturdays. So you can go for another job which will give you jobs on Thursdays, Fridays, and Mondays. And it's good for you yourself, because you can plan your life and you can make money that way. But if you are with a direct agency, like with a staffing company like myself, my friend, like your staffing schedule, you can have it 2 months in advance, but it's not fixed. So you cannot use it to go and look for another job, except you give it out to the person ahead of time. Like it's stress, basically. It's stress. Like that's one thing. So if you have the chance to choose now, don't even make the mistake or be double-minded at all. Like get it done. Get the direct agency somehow, whichever way. And I know most of the direct agencies are also now trying to switch to staffing agencies and have a staffing agency arm, because the staffing agency pays more. It gives you more money. It makes them have more money, more control over you, and more leverage to bargain with hospitals than someone who is just going to be with like a staffing agency that's like that is going to be some sorry, it's better for them than someone who just brings the individual to the country and ship them out to the hospital, and then they have no responsibility over the individual again. I mean, in this instance, the staffing company would want everything to do with you, so that once you work, they are paid. And it makes sense. They brought you to the country so they are going to benefit from that as well, because it's business. But if you are with a direct hire agency, and that's one thing you have the chance to do, don't even waste your time at all. Like make sure you get a good direct hire agency. If you choose not to care to, you can come to the country with a recruitment agency, and then you shut up and work like myself, and find a way to enjoy the work you are doing for the 2-year period. And then once the time is due, you go, or you cancel the contract, and then you owe them $40,000 or $50,000, depending on the state you are. And then, yeah, I mean that's how it is. But I don't like to worry myself too much about what the agency is making of me and all of that. And I know it's a big deal for people, but I don't like to worry myself about that, because there's not much I can do about that. I can't do much about it. The only thing I can do is, if I'm not interested, I have to cancel the contract, take the hard decision, pay the money, and go. Or I have to keep quiet and enjoy the work. So I have to learn what is happening, find a way to make the people like me or enjoy the work I'm doing, and be my absolutely best, and flawlessly execute the task that I'm meant to do. And then once the time comes where I finish my contract, if I'm good, the hospital will be like, okay, we need you to stay. Then I say, okay, now I have done 2 years on this floor, and these are my terms. I'm going to get like $10 or $15 more per hour. Like, otherwise, I'm going to another hospital. Then I can bargain and negotiate as an employee of the hospital. And then in that instance, I have the leverage, because I worked on that unit for some time, so I can actually bargain and get my what I feel I'm worth. So in as much as it can be difficult for you, it's also an opportunity for you to learn, become the best that you can be. And then when the time is up for you to talk about what's happening, boy, you have a lot of things to talk about, like to actually talk about the challenges that you are faced, and how you've learned, and how you are obviously a better nurse than someone who is just coming. So it's an overall opportunity, good opportunity for everyone who wants to like build a good resume and use it to as it is a bargaining chip, to bargain to get a better starting wage. Okay, and that's one thing you can think about. Otherwise, you need to like really make sure you get a direct hire agency before you use a staffing agency, because you will become frustrated. You wouldn't get the money that a nurse in the hospital will get, and you're not going to get the staffing schedule that they get, so that you can pick up extra shifts in another hospital. But you're going to pick up shifts in the same hospital, and it continues. Okay. Yeah. How much is the sign-on bonus for a new nurse from UK to US? I didn't have a sign-on bonus, so I don't know, honestly. But I know AMN is now giving them people $5,000. Somebody who got signed after me said he was giving 5,000. Yeah, with AMN, I think. So I didn't get sign-on bonus, because I signed my contract way back in Ghana. Yeah, but I know some agencies give different amounts of money. For us, for nurses in the US who are getting a new job, it's a different ball game altogether. It's a different terrain altogether. But for people who are moving from UK to US, I think the agency you sign on with determines how much you get. AMN, I know through AGP are giving $5,000. Netibati, Nanika, you have asked a lot of questions. You need to pay. You need to pay for consultation because you have exhausted the questions. You and Pastor Love. Okay, but that's just by the side. I'm just kidding. I'm not taking any money from anybody. Okay. Netibati says, as a direct entry midwife, if I do migrate to the USA as a CNA, do I get a chance to progress to an RN or a midwife? Or will I have to go back to school to have my BSc nursing to become RN? Oh, what a question. Okay, let me take it again. As a direct entry midwife, what do you mean by direct entry? Is it direct entry to the US? If I migrate to the USA as a CNA, do I get a chance to progress to an RN or a midwife, or will I have to go back to school to have my BSc nursing to become an RN? Oh, okay. So you're asking of if you came to the US as a CNA. I think in that instance, what's going to happen is that, like you probably have to work as a CNA and they have to go back to school because somebody's even answering. Oluwatobi said midwifery is not recognized without BNSC. Yeah, so like you need to have. I think most of the midwives here have a bachelor's degree anyway, so definitely you need to get it. Like you need to get a bachelor's degree to be able to work here as a midwife, but unlike the RN degree. So if you come as a CNA, then you are going through the whole process to start all over again. But if you have a bachelor's degree, you can actually use that to continue. And yeah, hey, Sonia, okay, I'm on a live video, so sorry. My wife just came back from work, so okay, so that's how it's going to be. But that's what as far as I know, you don't have to like continue. You are not able to transition because if an agency brought you and you came as a CNA, which means that you came to a professional route, so definitely you are going to use that route to continue to work. It's like saying that I have a medicine degree in Ghana or in UK, and I came to the US through AMN as a nurse. Will I be able to transition to become an AMN doctor? No. Like I have to work as a nurse and then go back to the regulators here to regularize the system, my degree. If I'm actually having a medical degree, start the whole process of validation and then get my degree validated so that I can work as a medical doctor here in the US, which is similar to what you are asking, Nettie Batty. I hope I've answered your question. Otherwise, please explain it further so that somebody in the chats can explain for you, because I know a lot of people know more than me when it comes to this topic, and I wouldn't pretend that I'm the sole repository of knowledge when it comes to these issues. So please, you can provide further particulars so that people can answer you. Okay, but why Fire says, but why did you not use direct hire agency since you were in the UK already? Had you not heard of the direct hire then? Yeah, I mean that's one of the things. Like I said, I had already signed my contract in Ghana with OGP, and I didn't even know the difference. I mean, I just did a poor job researching it, which is why I always tell people that if you want to move from the US or Ghana, from the UK or any country to the US, take your time and research the process, because it's going to help you avoid some bad decisions. Like you need to make good decisions, and the only way you can do that is when you do your research very well and know what's happening. Honestly, I did a poor job. I didn't take my time to learn a lot of things, so there were a lot of things I didn't know. Okay, I didn't know a lot of things about the agencies to use. I just knew about OGP and Avant because my friend used Avant, and I knew of OGP as being one of them. Those are the agencies. And then because I wasn't really, like I said, looking into it, I didn't spend a lot of time studying the things. I would have canceled my contract and gone with the direct hire agency if I had a chance. But then again, like I said, staffing agencies have a way of making your process easier for you because they have competent people who know what is happening and they can explain the process very well for you. So it makes your process easier. So there's an advantage to that. I mean, it's not like all about the money. If I wanted to move to a different hospital in Maryland, or even if I want to go work in California, they can tell me what I need to do to get the California license or to get another state license, and they can get me good hospitals where I want to work. So that's the advantage of having a staffing agency. But when it comes to the benefits and the money and the flexibility, this is direct hires and this is staffing agency. There's a wide gap. So I just didn't know. But if you have a chance and you are benefiting from this video, and I think now there are a lot of resources out there, the information is all over the place, and you are coming, I think that you should take time for your own sake and for the sake of your family to study about the process and get a good direct hire agency. Sorry guys, so it's really cold here. it's really cold here now, and the weather is just not friendly. How I miss Ghana. I mean the weather, how I miss the weather in Ghana. Okay, so like you need to have that that you need to have that time to understand and learn about the whole things for yourself, the system for yourself, and get on with it. Get the information you need. It's business, like I've said in times past. It's business for them. So you also have to think of your interest and what's going to serve you better, and make sure that this is the best decision you are taking for yourself. Use the opportunity you have to get the best hospital for you, the best agency for you, the best contract for you. Someone told me in the UK that she got a contract with one of these direct hire staffing agencies, recruitment firm. I think it was Avant or so, and she wasn't happy with the contract. This person is making £4,000. So coming to the US, the person is really nervous, and I understand that. And I told the person that go through the contract again. If there's something you don't understand or you're not happy about, cancel the contract before you commit yourself, because you didn't have the chance to cancel once you come here. Otherwise, you're going to pay a hefty amount. Meanwhile, you can have a direct hire agency that gives you a hospital, and you can always change hospitals or without serious commitment. So, especially for those in the UK, it's not like you are in a terrible place where anything presented to you in the US, you have to take it. No, it's you have a very good opportunity working in the UK. So you need to think of what is good for you and what will not get you shortchanged. Okay. Sorry, like you don't need to shortchange yourself. You need to get a good contract that makes sense for you. Okay. How are the buildings like? Are they very spacious than that of the UK? Oh, Nanekia. Okay, I don't know who Nanekia is, but this lady is really, really asking questions. But I mean, the funny thing is that I was living in a part I was living in Lincolnshire, and the house I had in England is bigger than what I have here. I mean, it's normal. I don't know if I can show you, but my camera won't allow me. I would have shown you. I don't know. Let me see. It doesn't make. Okay, so I don't know if you can see, but I mean, there's not much you can see here, but it's just. How do I even call it? Let me see. It doesn't make sense, but I'll probably have to do like a better view or something, okay, so that you can see. Like Nanik, I tried, I just cannot get it, okay. But it's nice. The environment is clean, which is one of the most important things that you need about where you live. It's like when I came to the US, one of the first things the people asked me, "Oh, where you live in England, is it clean?" I said, "Yes, it's very clean. It's clean, and there are parks." Like, whoa, that's nice. They don't ask about the height of the buildings or anything. And I'm not saying your question is bad, Nanika. I'm just saying that it appears that how clean the environment is and how fresh the area is one of the things that really matter to people. For example, if I use my Apple Watch to check or use my phone to check the air quality in this area, you realize that the air quality here is about 40%. And then when I check the air quality of where I was living in the UK, it's about 10%. But when I put New York or one of those busy cities on the app to check air quality, it's really low compared to this place, or it's really low compared to a state in UK like Bristol, or like one of those nice cities like let's say, I'm not even going to talk about Manchester or Liverpool. I'm talking about like those posh cities like Bristol, like maybe Southampton is even not, yeah, but you get what I mean, like the quality of the environment to live in, okay, the nature of the roads, the state laws, and all of that. It's like really different, and it's just cool. It's nice. I mean, if Ghana had good roads, had stable electricity, and had water flowing, it would be a very wonderful place to live. So it's the opportunity that you have. Like almost everywhere is the same, and you need to like just focus on like making the best out of the opportunities you have. And the houses are okay, but they're expensive. Like it's when I was in UK, the area I was living in, the average house was about £150,000. But in this state, the average house is about $500,000 or $600,000. And that's what you need to think about when it comes to the difficulty of buying a home. Like if a nurse here is earning about $90,000 a year and the average home is $600,000, how do they save to make the down payment of about how do they save to make a down payment of about $100,000 or $80,000 to buy a home? It will take longer for you to buy a home because your income of $90,000 is about 6 times. Okay, let's say 90,000. If the house is 600,000, 9 times what will give you 600,000? 9 5 45, 9 6 54, 9 7 63. Yes, so it's about 7 times. Okay, my math is bad, but pardon me. So it's like your annual income without taking anything is about 7 times. You need to have 7-fold of that to buy a house. But if you are earning about £30,000 in the UK, and the average home where I was living is about 150,000, it's about okay, five times. But you could even get houses like 120,000 there. Okay, so honestly, I don't know. But it's just easy. It was just easier because a friend that I was in the UK with before she even moved got a house, and the house was like she already bought a house for 90,000 in the UK, and it was really easy for her to buy a home in the UK. And the situation is similar for nurses here who move to some states. If you are in a state like Texas, it's one of the best states for nurses to buy homes. Like the community liaison who took me around told me that the nurses who had moved just a year before I came had bought houses or homes in Texas, because the average price for a home in Texas is about $350,000, and they pay a lot of money for nurses in Texas as well. I mean, Texas is a huge state. Okay, if it was a country, it would be about the 5th or 6th largest country in the world, not by land size, but by economy, the sheer amount of money they have in the economy. And so Texas is like a really great place for you to work if you're a nurse. If you are starting out, it's a great state to look forward to, because you can buy a home quickly, and the rent you are paying is not going. It's not going into rent. It's going into your mortgage. Somebody in the UK who is an old retired doctor told me that when I mean, it's her wife was a doctor, but when she moved to the UK, she had to start all over again as a nurse, and she never got a chance to become a doctor because the conversion was so complicated. She said that when you are paying rent in the UK without having a house, it's like you are putting the money in the gutter, because it's just going, you never get it again. But once you buy a home, you know that you're eventually going to own that home and rent and pass it on to your kids. I know that there are several schools of thought and arguments. Some people even call it a conspiracy theory about whether or not it's good to buy a home because the home is going to depreciate or something. They say a lot of arguments about whether it's good or not. But from where we come from, we know that it's good to always buy a home. And most of the rich people we know have homes, and it gives you that peace of mind and security. So a state which affords you the chance to buy a home where you live with a family and have the peace of mind is indispensable. It's really, really great. Like a place like Texas or Florida or South Dakota, they don't pay you a lot, but you get to earn so much money. Okay, that the money you have is able to afford you a home at an easier rate. So it would be more difficult for a nurse in California or Washington to buy a home compared to a nurse in, say, Texas or Maine or Virginia, even though those nurses will earn a whole lot less. I just hope you are understanding the drift and that are making sense. Yeah. Miss Yojo, you are giving out good information. Thank you. Okay, yeah, thank you to just send some pounds to my account. Those of you in the UK. Okay, just I'll give you my short code. My Monzo account is still active, so I'm just kidding. Okay, so who's this? As a UK trainer, how do you meet the hours requirements for obstetrics and pediatrics? Oh, Doritos, I have no idea what that is. I have no idea what that is. I don't understand. Yeah, how do you meet the hours for requirements? Look, I think that you just need to do some research and spend some time on the website of the state you want to go and their requirements. They even have a feedback line that you can send questions to. That's what I do. Like when I was trying to look at the opportunities to go to school here, I messaged the university and they reached out directly to me. Like they even called me on the phone and they spent about 20 minutes explaining the things to me. And they sent me a detailed email, so I know everything about the course. If I want to go back to school, I could do. Just go back to the website. Oh, you mean for CGFNS? Yeah, if it's for CGFNS, you need to go back on the website as well. But as a UK trained adult nurse, how do you meet the hours requirements for obstetrics and pediatrics? I don't really have an idea. I could do a research into that for you. But you just sent me an email to. Let me type my email address here. YouTube at manasseh.com. Okay, just send me an email to that, and then I'll probably find time and do the research for you. I don't know of it, so I'm not going to give you any wrong information and cause blunders here. I'm living in London and I'm paying $1,200 for a one-bed shared accommodation, and it's quite small. I have my own washroom, but share kitchen with others. Wow, that's a lot of money for a one-bed. Wow. Well, I mean, London is people say it's a mad place to live because it's so expensive. It's just like New York, where somebody said their apartment in New York is the size of a phone because it's like so expensive to live in New York. Yeah, it's just expensive to live in London because it's the heart of action. And I always tell people ask me, oh, were you living in London? And I'm like, no, I wasn't living in London. What is a nurse doing in London? I used to tell them that as a nurse, you don't need to live in London. And this is not to you, Naniki. I was just giving them my opinion. Like in London, it's about football, it's about banking, it's about politics, it's about tech. If you are not in one of those industries, you become the rock in the diamonds because they are all earning a lot of money. And for you, you are just earning a paltry sum of money. You are going to have a London weighted wage, which is nothing really. The London weighted wage, they're going to add just a little, about I don't know, I think £5,000 a year or something. So it's not much. Meanwhile, your rent is so expensive. So why would you worry yourself and like stay in London? But I know people have very good reasons. So I'm not even going to pretend like I have a right to give people advice on where to stay. But I'm just saying that London or New York for nurses it's quite difficult. Like you're going to spend all your money on rent. Nanekia, I can tell that Nanekia is not saving much money because, like, unless you are doing a lot of agency shifts or bank hours, because you can't save money. Nanekia, like, you can't save a lot of money. Like, that's London or New York for you, because you spend a lot of your money on rent. So, yeah. Then I am Hussein Saab says, what will be the monthly expenditure, including rent and groceries, in your state in the USA for a single person? Oh, well, I'm not a single person, so I can't tell. But I know that half of your income. Well, if you are in my state and let's say you are earning, let's say if you are a single person, your rent will be about 30. Your rent will be about 80% of what I pay. So the average rent, if you go to Zillow, the average rent in the States is about $2,300 a month for a 2-bed. If you're an individual single person, you can be paying about 1,800 or 1,900 for a 1-bed or a studio. Or you can pay 1,700 for a 1-bed or a studio. So what that means is that if you are paying 1,900 or 1,800 for a studio, you are still paying about $600 or $700 less than myself. Yeah, that's just the truth. So you'll be saving about $600-$700 on rent, but when you need to do other things like groceries, maybe you are one person, so you can spend about that $500 on groceries for the month, because I realize that groceries is quite expensive in this country. Like, food is expensive, especially if you want to eat good food, like you want to buy whole foods that is not genetically modified and it's organic. If it's organic, guys, like, you pay a lot of money because organic food costs a lot in this country. Like, and I just was asking myself that should I continue buying organic food? But I realized that, like, what is the purpose of the work that you're doing if it's not about eating good food and keeping yourself healthy? You can always make the money back. You can't make your health back. So it's just a personal decision that I'd rather spend my money on proper food than like a nice car, because I value my health way more than like buying a nice car and be in bad health, in bad shape. Okay, so it's like a personal decision, but you can spend maybe 400, 500 a month. Yeah, you can spend about $500 a month. It is likely to be more than that because groceries cost a lot. It costs a lot in this country. Like, I can tell you, eggs, like 12 eggs cost about, well, that's organic eggs, so it costs about $11. Okay, yeah. Meanwhile, it's about £3 or £4 in the UK or something. So you can spend about $500 a month on groceries. Yeah, that's it. So that's if you add that £500 to the money you are earning as a nurse, you know that you are paying about 2,500 for groceries and your utility, your rent and utilities. So you'll be spending about 2,500 to 2,700 on those things, and then that means that the other half of the second 2 weeks payment, which is going to be the same, similar to let's say the same amount, is going to be the amount of money you have to make your car payments and all of that. And it's similar to almost every state in the US. If somebody is living in New York and they are paying them, let's say, $3,000 every pay period, which is every 2 weeks, that means that rent in the area they live is likely to be $3,000, because they use the area you live, the average prevailing rent rate, to calculate your salary. That's why if you are living in a cheap state, your salary is low. If you are living in a state that is expensive, your salary is higher. So, like, you need to think of all those things. Okay, the amount of money you are making is going to be very comparable or going to be calculated with the amount of money you spend. if you are a single person, that's fine. But even if you are a single person, don't think you are going to benefit more than with the married people, because the tax system benefits the family system. It benefits married people. For example, we can pay the same tax, but once we get into things like filing taxes at the end of the year, there are several things that, as a family, when you file your taxes together, there are several things that are deducted for you, and you can save on several things on your health insurance bill if you are a family and you have a toddler. Like, if you're a family without a toddler, there are some things you cannot save on. If you're a family and you have a toddler or you have a young kid, there are several things you can save on. So there are several benefits for the family system, especially in this country. I realize it's quite structured to favor the family people. So you may save, okay, on rent, like you are asking, Talikoti, but if there is other thing that you need to do, like taxes, you can't really save on that. Okay. Yeah. So I hope I've answered your question. But if you go on Zillow, I'll put it in a chat. I think it's Zillow.com, and then there are a host of other ones. You can see how much. Another one is Redfin. You can see rents and accommodation prices, single units, and all of that, and it's going to help you. Like, it's going to give an idea, but don't use that as a basis to think that, oh, if I'm single, I'm going to save more money, because you will end up paying more money for some things as an individual, like taxes and all of that. But if you're a married couple, you file your taxes together, so it gives you that leverage. That's it. And yeah, who else is this? Yeah, you're welcome, Talikoti. I think you are Nigerian or something, but I don't know. I'm just guessing. Okay, so now we have, it says, I got, Nanika, you said you can't save money. I know that. We all know that you are in London and you are broke. We are just kidding. Oh. Okay. Yeah. It says, please, I got a direct hire position. However, they didn't mention anything about sign-on bonus. Do you think it's possible to renegotiate the terms? Of course, you can always renegotiate the terms. If it's a direct hire bonus and they didn't sign they didn't mention the sign-on bonus, then you can think of, but you see, the direct hire companies also have a role to play in all of this. If I start a direct hire company and I'm bringing people from Nigeria or Ghana or Kenya or the UK to the US, I'm also in this to make money, right? So if I'm going to negotiate the contract at the hospital and I'm going to talk to them, do you not think that I'll give them something that would be a unique selling proposition, which would be my advantage for them to give me the contract? Definitely, there will be. So I can tell them that, oh, I can bring you new nurses who you don't have to pay sign-on bonuses for. And it's one of the things that some of these hospitals use to, like, negotiate and do the bargain. It's one of the things that they use to do the bargain. It's so interesting. Like, they can, the hospital may give them the contract to bring them, and then they'll pay the agency so that they don't have to give you the money. So you may not get a sign-on bonus. You may get a sign-on bonus with the recruitment or staffing company, but you don't get with a direct hire. And it's probably because the direct hire has gone to sign a contract with the hospital. Some direct hires will also try and sign you on to their staffing agency without you even really understanding it. So you may think you are with a direct hire company, but you're actually working for the staffing arm of the direct hire company, which is why you need to, like, take your time and really understand this contract, because you are not going to be shortchanged. They are not going to, like, kill you or anything, but you come here and you may realize that, okay, some of the things that were in the contract that I didn't pay attention to, like, they are now playing out before my eyes, and I wish I had given them more attention, but the time would have already gone. Okay, so that's one thing you need to think about, but you should always take your time and understand what they are saying before you sign a contract. Like I said about my friend in the UK who was stalling signing the contract with Avant because she wasn't happy with some of the terms. And I told her, yes, like, you need to take your time and understand what they're saying, because once you come here, the contract is binding. Like, it's not even going to be kids play at all. Like, the contract is binding, so you need to be sure of what you are signing. And then if you are going to sign, like abrogate the contract, there is hefty payments that you need that you need to pay. And think about it before you sign it, and then make a decision as to what you find useful. Then it says that I lived in London for 10 years and I think it's not worth it as a nurse. It's better you stay outside London. Yeah, well, so people are just giving their opinions on that. I'm sure Naniki has a good reason why she's there, but Abigail says that she's been there for 10 years, and it's the same for people who live in like New York or California. Like, it's nice, everybody say, oh, I live in New York, I live in Manhattan, but you can only pay rent. You don't have any money. Like, that's the truth. You don't have money. You are using your salary and everything to pay rent. So don't even kid yourself. Yes, you are living in Manhattan, you are living in LA, you are living in California and all of that. Yeah, like, you are living in New York, my friends. Like, your salary is going into the rent. So it's similar, because those states were not made for people who are middle income earners. It's like you are living in Ghana and you are working in Ghana Health Service, but you live in East Legon, or you live at Spintex and you work at 37 Military Hospital. For those who are not familiar with Ghana, I'm sorry about that. But it's like the posh areas. Let's say you are living in Banana Island and you work in Abuja Government Hospital, or the government hospital near Banana Island in Nigeria. Like, you can't make ends meet there. Like, you will struggle. Okay, like, you need to live in a lower income area so that you can see, if at all. Like, you can work in Kolebu and you live at Cantonment so that it's closer, but you can't afford the rent there. It's more like you are living at you are working at G in Kumasi, but you are at, let's say, Ahunjo, or one of those expensive neighborhoods. You can't save money. Which is what we have all experienced, and a lot of people are saying it in the chat, so it's true. Okay. Thank you, dear. Thank you too. Did you sort out your accommodation before your arrival in the States? And did you have an accountant to help you with the taxes? Yes. So for accommodation, like I said, it's one of the benefits of staffing companies or recruitment companies. When you work with them, they sort out those things for you. OGP was quite good with that. And because you don't have history here as well, getting direct accommodation can be a bit of a challenge, because the real estate companies here do not know you, and they will use your credits to check. So my agency was good enough, and they helped me with those requirements. So I mean, that was a good thing for me. For people who don't have the benefits of using an agency and they have to do it by themselves, I think you might have a bit of a challenge. But even with direct hire, some of those direct hire agencies will help with getting accommodation, but you have to pay the upfront payment yourself. Recruitment companies like OGP and Avant will pay off the initial amount for you. I mean, think of it this way. When I came here, the initial payment that we needed to make was about $5,000 because it was a family of 2 people and it was a 2-bedroom. So if you are coming from Ghana, do you have $5,000 in addition to like your first car payments? I mean, or if you are coming from the UK, maybe you have that, but if you're from Nigeria, do you have that amount of money? And that's one of the things you have to think about if you're going to sign a contract with the direct hire agency. They don't really fund anything for you. You have to save about $10,000 to $15,000 for your NCLEX processes, your car payments, your flight, and all of those things. So it becomes a lot for you, especially if you are traveling with a family of 2 or 3 people. And in the US, it's difficult for a family to come later. If they don't come with you, it's so difficult I don't know why. But if you have to come with them and you're paying all these flights, like, I don't know, let's say your flights from Ghana to this place is about $1,200 or $1,500. It can even get to about $2,000, I'm told. And there are 3 of you, that's $6,000. Then you are coming to pay like down payment of about another 5,000 or 6,000. Yeah, that's 11,000 just like that. And then your initial car payments, because you're going to live, let's say, a bit further away, you get initial car payments. It's not a joke. Like, it's worse even if you are using agents like Avance, because they will require a lot of things as well, in addition to first car payments, first insurance payments. You have to pay them yourself, like my friend told me. And so it's one of the downsides of using a recruitment agency. But if you have a direct hire agency, the direct hire agency is going to do all of that for you. The recruitment agency is going to do all of that for you, and they'll use their money to pay for you. Then they'll deduct it from your paycheck. But with the direct hire agencies, they don't do that. So, like I said, you need to have money to go with direct hire agency, because you have to cover a lot of things yourself. And for accountants helping with taxes, usually you file your taxes by yourself, but I haven't had a chance because I came in August and the tax period just ended in, I think, December or January. So I hadn't even worked for 6 months. So my agency or my staffing company sorted those things out. For people who have limited liability companies here, I think it's the best thing you can do for yourself if you're a nurse here in the US. You can have a company that writes off a lot of those taxes for you. It's the same in the UK as well. But if you don't have that, then you have to file your taxes, and then if there are some amount that they need to write off, they can write those off for you, and it's going to be another an added advantage. Okay. Yeah, that's it. I think we've done nearly 2 hours, and I'm so happy that you guys stayed on. I mean, it's amazing, really. Today's my first live, and for those of you who joined later on, you realize that the first planned one didn't happen because I couldn't figure out how all of this was going to happen. I thought it was going to be that simple, so I just fixed the thing. And then I was going live and I realized the technicalities were just too many. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, oh my God, this is a shame. So I had to take my time, go back and find YouTube videos on how to go live again, and then start the whole process again. I mean, it was just mad. But I'm so happy that you guys came on, and I'm happy that I was able to serve you guys some value. My hope is that next week we'll do another live. Like, we'll do one live every week, and it's going to be a host of other things we'll talk about. But please look out for that flyer as well. And I want to thank you for all the support you guys have been giving to my channel, because it's not easy these days on YouTube, where you have people's videos not getting views and all of that. But I get a lot of feedback from you guys. You like the videos, you watch the videos, and I just want to rewrite the story of nurses making shabby videos. I just want to do it well. So I just like to get a feedback from people when they say, oh, I like the way you did the editing, and I like the way you do your setup. I mean, it's like hard work, right? Because I have to spend money to do this background because I want to do it well. And be a nurse who is from Africa but is doing it right. At least I don't want that image or stigma of we Africans trying to do things in a shabby manner and find the cheapest way possible to do it. No. I think that apart from me giving you the value, we also need to get that experience of watching good videos, right? So I spend time to do the research, read a lot. Obviously, like, I always have to make notes, copious amount of notes for everything. Like this live, I had to spend so much time reading about it. So there are some things that I may not know, and I do not try to position myself as a sole repository of wisdom. There are people I ask questions all the time. I sometimes talk to Nanelle to give me advice or on a few things when she's able to, or I learn from people so that I could better serve you guys. So I'm happy that you find my content useful and you spend time to watch these lives. I'll do another one next week, hopefully. I just don't know the date yet. Like I said, because I'm an agency staff, I don't have fixed schedule. So I don't know what my schedule is. I have to go and look at it. But I'll find time and I'll do another live while posting the videos on the channel as well. Thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions, you can always send them to youtube@manasetete.com, and I'll be sure to answer them as I can. Just before we go, Jack, what did Jack say? Dorcas Johnny. Oh, Dorcas, you're here. Okay. Realness, thank you for your time too. You're doing great. Yeah. And Jack Funebi EC says, thank you for hosting this live chat. I'm a nurse from Nigeria. Could you help me out with my CV? Oh, I don't know. I don't know what help you need with your CV, but there are several CV templates out there, and I think you should just send it to my email. And I can't promise the time to, like, if I'm going to have the time to look at it within the brief period of time, but like I'm just going to take my time and find time among the many other things I do to have a look at your CV. And I just hope you are aware that, CVs don't really matter in this US journey, because like they want to know if you have worked in a particular hospital and whether you're taking the NCLEX exams and all of that. As a lot of people can agree here, once you have those credentials, it's going to help you get a chance to get a hospital and get an agency or get a staffing firm. But just send me an email and I'll be sure to help you whichever way I can. And for those of you who watch this stream afterwards, I'll leave a link down below to subscribe to my newsletter. And I put a lot of effort into giving you the newsletter that gives you information that is useful for your migration process. For like, I talk about the top hospitals in the states that you want to go, the amount they are paying. And I'm even going to talk about how to buy your first car here in the US, because it's a big deal and there's a way you can do it that doesn't kill the bag for you. And it's one of the advantages I have. I learned that process and it has helped me. I mean, and I know some people want to gatekeep that and keep that information to themselves, but I'm like, no, screw that. Why wouldn't I share that with people? So I'll do a next video on that, and I'll talk about like how to be able to get a car and not really commit yourself to buying a car that's going to kill you and all of that, or that's going to make you pay so much money. Yeah, I also talk about the benefits of being a night shift nurse and over a day shift nurse in the next live video, because one of the benefits is that for a night shift nurse, that difference could be that hourly wage difference could be what you use for your car payments. So it's a whole tricky situation, but it can be beneficial for those who are interested. I do day shifts, so I don't have some of those benefits, and it's for good reason that I choose to work during the days. That's so much for a concluding statement, but thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Like I always like to sign up. Thank you. See you. I think in Ghana we do bye-bye, so bye-bye.